So I have a lot of topics that I like to talk about. And when I'm talking about one topic, another topic just kind of explodes in your head. Ever have that when you're like talking about something and then almost like you have an epiphany and then you're like just go off on a tangent and talk about something completely different and then trying to bridge those two topics together. It's like, yeah, and that's, why I say this. Well, I mean, I have a bad habit of doing that all the time, but there's one topic in general, or not really a topic, but it's a question. And, there's a lot of people who come into work around certain times. And I like asking people those brain-busting questions. It's not really all that brain-busting, but to them it is. To me, it's pretty simple, probably because I'm the one asking the question. And, seeing that I'm the one asking the question, I have an opinion already made up in my head concerning that question. It's a lot easier for me. But the question is, what if the United States of America dies by the end of this year? Meaning that the United States is no more, it's dissolved, and on top of that, a foreign entity comes in and tries to claim this land as they're pretty much annexing the North America, and claiming it. Now, if that were to happen, what would you do? Now, a lot of people I've asked that to says, man, what could I do? I'm just one person. That type of mindset is the reason why we're currently in the shit we are in today, right now with the economy. I'm just one person. What could I do? Or they said, yeah, you know what? Well, I'll just adapt. I said, okay, so pretty much, you would adapt. You would just, say, the hell with our country and just adapt some new foreign countries' laws, rules, and regulations. I don't know about you, but I couldn't do that. I mean, if it would actually meant my survival after I got done doing all I could to do something and it was just inevitable, then maybe if I hadn't survived, because at the end of the day, the people who survive are the people who win. I don't believe, if the cause is just, then you lay down your life, but it has to be for a really fucking good reason, because regardless of how much you do, in the end, if you die, it's all over. And if you think for a minute that you sacrificing yourself for some idiotic cause is going to make a difference in the end, it may not, but do note that the longer that you are alive on this earth, the more valuable you become, the more you can do. I mean, say for instance, there might be a time, say for instance, if you're in the military and you have to bounce on that grenade or something to save your battle buddy. Hey, that's cool. You do that admirable thing. But at the same light, if you have another way to go about doing it, so say for instance, instead of jumping on that grenade, if you can pick it up and throw it somewhere where nobody dies and nobody gets hurt, that would be a better preferable course of action, because then that means that's one more person who's alive that can do something better later on down in the future. That's just the way I think. And the next same scenario, say for instance, if there's a guy with a bomb strapped to his vest, and I have either option: I can jump on him and blow up with him, or I can shoot the fucker right in the face. You know what I mean? There's always more than one way to skin a cat. And when people nowadays, and it might seem like I'm getting off on a tangent, but I'm not. But people nowadays, they're programmed to thinking there's only one way to do something, and that's a lie. That's multiple ways to do one thing. So this is how I would answer that question. I wouldn't wait till shit gets bad. I would do things now. And when I mean by do things, I wouldn't mean actionable things as far as, I'm going to raid the Capitol or shit. No, I wouldn't do nothing like that. You start peaceful first. first thing you would do is try to get as much information out to the general public as much as possible. Shit like I'm doing now. There's other ways to do it, person to person. You can talk, you can plant seeds in people, like kind of, when you plant those controversial seeds in people, it kind of like they have a fight with themselves, and reason always wins. When you reason with somebody, and you put good facts out there, to the point where it kind of like opens their eyes, then you did a pretty good job of persuading somebody. And it's not and when you talk about the truth, you're not really persuading them. You're opening their eyes to the lies that they've been told, probably mostly all their lives. So mostly all their lives. That didn't make any sense. That's like a double negative. Most of their lives. So, yeah, the first thing I would do is I would do what I can do, because just because I'm one person doesn't mean you can't do anything. Even even the Spartans, when the Spartans back in the day were fighting, everybody did something. Regardless, everybody did something. You had people up in the front doing all the killing. You had people in the back doing all the mercy killings, so to speak. Same thing in World War II. Everybody did something. When the Germans, the Russians, the females were fighting, the females were some of the most deadliest snipers out there during World War II. Everybody did something. So the fact that they could do it, why can't we? Everybody should do something. If you wanna hold on to your right to bear arms, freedom of speech, right to protest, assembly, all that good stuff, you should do stuff. I think Occupy right now has the right idea. They're doing peaceful protest. And during the NATO summit, which a lot of people for some reason don't know fuck about. I mentioned the NATO summit, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm like, "How do you not know what happened in the NATO summit?" It's mind-boggling. I mean, it's like you have these big shutters over their eyes. It's weird. It's like you're in a zombie nation. In a way, like you're the only one who can see what the hell's going on around you, even though you're not the only one, but in your area that you are, if you're not with like-minded individuals who see the corruption in this nation, it's just so weird. You kind of feel sad for these people in a way. You try to do what you can to help them, but at the end of the day, when the shit hits the fan, and it really will here pretty soon, I think, those people are just, they're on their own. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna, they're set in their ways at that point. If your truth doesn't open their eyes when shit really comes down, then it's too late for them. I mean, as simple as that. It's just too late. So, I mean, what can you do? Not a damn thing. One sec, my employee's coming up. Here you go. Hey, when you come to work next time, just make sure you come to work fully dressed, no more shoes or anything like that.
I had my shoes to put them on after work, but I end up leaving them.
Yeah, well, go ahead and keep them home. Take it easy, alright? Yeah, don't try, do. Huh? Are you okay? Alright. Alright, well, my employee forgot her house shoes. Anyway. Whatever. I ain't even gonna entertain that too much. But, I mean, people, you can tell when people really don't care when you're trying to explain something to them. And they're like, yeah. I said, hey man, just don't take my word for it. Go ahead and look this stuff up. Yeah man, I'll do that when I get home. And then like you talk to them the next day, hey man, so did you look it up? You're like, nah man, I was doing this, doing that. See, people like that, if by the fact that you're talking and you know what they generally believe, you know, you're like, nah man, that's really not the way it happened, and they don't really want to seek the truth on their own, fuck it, they're a lost cause. I mean, you can keep trying, but at a certain point in time, it's kind of like triage. You know how doctors go. You know, a doctor's gonna look at two patients. He's gonna try to save both their lives, but in the long run, if one just won't make it in the end, and he knows that, he's gonna shift all his concentration on the next person and see if they can be saved. And he's gonna keep trying. But you know, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make the decision. Like, you know what, this person's a lost cause. But don't give up on them. But at the same time, know that when shit does hit the fan, it's really up to you. You know, if we're in an area, well, no, not if we're in an area, because I'm gonna be getting off on tangents if I go there too. Damn. Anyway, so that's what I would do. I would start first, non-violent protests. Do everything you possibly can. Get the word out. You know, talk to politicians, what have you. Because you know, the government works for us. You know, this country wouldn't be shit without the people who are living in it. Military, police, or otherwise. So this notion that military, the government, federal, and all this shit has more power than public, nah, that's bullshit. Because who makes up those people? We do. We have the power. So therefore, with our power, we can pretty much change anything we want in this country. But all this goddamn TV and mainstream media tries to convince you otherwise. And the biggest offense to all, to, you know, our society, is the school system. The school system programs your kids into thinking that. I mean, technically, human beings are nothing but robots. Computers were vessels. When we're kids, we're easily programmed, and they dump all this damn information into you. When you get to college, they program some more information into you to make you a mindless slave to corporations that you work for today. But you know, that's just me and my opinion. And I'm going off on a tangent again. So, as I said before, peaceful protest. Then, when all avenues approach to a peaceful resolve of the solution, when all help fails, and there's just nothing that would help the situation at all, when you know your government is like, hey, fuck you, we're doing this, regardless of what you say or what you do, and, you know. And you try to reason with it, hey man, you know, this ain't cool, you know, and you calm the fuck down, get off your high horse, and they still won't listen, and you know, they're coming in, knocking down doors, and then that's a different story. But people are like, yeah man, I'm just gonna wait for the civil war to happen, I'm gonna bunker down, I got us food and ammo, I'm ready. Okay, so you're ready to kill your own countrymen? Really? Is this what we're resulting to? I mean, I don't think people realize that fighting the military as it is now is not an easy task. I mean, you shouldn't even think about doing that. I mean, you're fighting your own people. I mean, the reason why we got to this point now is it's our fault. So if there's a civil war, and you really want a civil war, you have nobody to blame but yourself. The casualties are going to be extraordinarily high. Why? Because they got the equipment to do that. They got the air, they got the land, they got the sea. They got all those. Why? Because our taxpayers, we provided them with that equipment to do so. Our military is an offensive force, and be damned if we fight against it. I mean, that's just... If it comes down to it, we do have a civil war, the government against the people, or the corporations that control our government versus the people, the casualties are not, It's just gonna be a bloodbath on both sides. It's not something we should look forward to. So that's why we need to do a peaceful protest. But as I like to say, you hope for the best, but yeah, prepare for the worst. Worst could be anything though. Nah.